The Big Dry Creek Reach 12 project was reconstructing the riverbank and the river channel itself from heavily erosion from previous storms. And there was a sewer line that runs through the channel bottom that was actually exposed in several spots that needed to be protected for future storm events to where it wouldn't damage or break the old line. So in this job we had to build several grouted walls with 2 grouted drop structures, and there are 2 walls that are 3 courses high, and then 2 walls that are 2 courses high, and then 1 very large drop structure behind me, and then 1 smaller one upstream of here to make up for grade drops throughout the channel and for protection of the sanitary sewer line. So on this job, I have a crew of 5 crew members on the dirt side, and they are responsible for constructing the channel and the walls and the drops. And in between all of that, for the pour days and the grout days for the structures and the walls, we have our concrete side come in, and they'll help us out with another 5 to 10 guys, depending on the size of the pour that day and production needed. The length of the time on this job would be about 5 months from start to finish. We are about a month out from completion. We're kind of in a pinch point here, trying to get our last little re-veg done so we can do the last little bit of work upstream and then pull everything out and do our last little bit of cleanup and re-veg. The experience from coming from the Platte River to Big Dry is challenging with the access. The access from coming from a job that's in the middle of nowhere to a job down here in the neighborhood where you have work hours, tight streets, trucking's way different, ordering materials is different. Getting the guys to understand that people live here and you have to respect their boundaries and their neighborhood is different. But in the end, all the job is the job, and getting the material in and out is a challenge, and you need to overcome it. So behind us here is our second drop, and our check dam is at the bottom of it, which is our end of our work area, and it's holding in a bunch of water. And we have a pump in there locally dewatering to our filter station so we can discharge that water cleanly. But last night the pump decided to seize up, so we have about 3.5 feet of water, 2 feet of water in there, and the guys had to trek out in there and swap that pump out, and re-rig it up, and then get that water out there so we can finish that work up. So Isaac is just working his way out of this area. It was completely heavily saturated with mud or with water, and it was just slop. So kind of re-scarifying it, trying to get that water to dry out of this material, so that way when we come back in here to finish this work, it's just not a soup hole, and we can get access in here safely and be able to work. So this the next step for this area would be to finish the re-veg work down at the second drop here, and then working our way out of this area. So this would be taking out all of the non-native material in the topsoil, processing the topsoil, rototilling it, raking it, getting it ready for seed, and then we would spray some straw through here, seed it, and then crimp it, and that is the recipe for success. It'll grow like none other. So this will be like a upland seed, kind of a drier, kind of just plain mix. Each job is, they call out specific seed mixes, but this is an upland area. If you go closer to the channel, it's going to be a wetland area, so those grasses would be better for a wetter environment compared to a drier one like up in here. Water control is number one when it comes to these areas and work sites like this. It is, without the proper water control, you cannot complete the work correctly. It needs to be a dry work area, even though it's in a river bottom. To be able to place the riprap, 4 feet below the channel and stack boulders on top of it and make that a solid foundation for those boulders, it has to be dry. So in doing so, we'll dig down and put or do watering wells, 12, 15 feet below subgrade, and then make kind of a trickle channel to it with smaller rock, collecting all that surface water, or nuisance water, groundwater, and getting it around our work area to our dewatering well, and then pump that water out and treat it and discharge it. So we're at the downstream area of our work site. This is where we're discharging our clean water diversion. So this is being pumped from all the way upstream to downstream around our work area. We have our riffle pad and our check dam. And then right above our check dam here, we have our second drop on site. And this is a monster drop. It is something else. There's a lot of grout and a lot of boulders in there. And that will control the water dropping down in elevation. There's a settling pool down there that will slow the water down as it discharges, and then it'll leave the area in a controlled manner and go on its way. So slowing the water down stops and slows the erosion of downstream. Slower, shallower, flatter water is less erosion control or less erosion problems downstream. Faster, narrower channel with high velocities in it is a higher problem for erosion in native banks around inlets, outlets, the turns and the bends. It'll eat away faster if it's narrower and the velocity's higher as compared to where it comes over the drops in elevation, and that's a controlled hard structure, so that will never erode. And then it's on that flat bottom there, and it exits the structure in a nice, flat, slow manner with very low velocities, and the erosion after that is very minimal. That crew over there is installing a 3-rail fence. That fence will be used for vehicle protection from someone sliding down the access road when the parks have to come in here and mow or weed control or clean up trash down the road. Behind the guys there, in between the property lines, there's an access road, and that's a pretty good hill that they're on top of, and they just didn't want any vehicles, lawnmowers, vehicles, or any of that sliding down the hill. So right here is an existing bridge over the channel, and Naranjo actually did that years and years and years ago, back when Herman was involved with the company, I believe. And over here we have our pump enclosure. We have incorporated sound blankets around our enclosure to dampen the sound for the residents. These pumps are running 24/7. They never turn off throughout the job. So to be a nice neighbor, we incorporated some sound blankets, which really do cut down the noise on the opposite side of them, dampening that groan of nonstop pumping. For stabilizing a bank, we look for vegetation. Vegetation is the route to stabilizing a bank, literally. The vegetation will hold in all that native material and let the water just flow right through. Without that vegetation, you just have pure sand, dirt, clay exposed, and that will erode over time and just carry itself downstream and deposit it elsewhere. That's what you don't want. On a project like this, we'll have about 2,500 to 3,000 yards of dirt that is excavated and replaced on site to shape the channel. Rock imported wise will probably be somewhere right around, I think it's 2,500 tons of 3-foot boulders, and then about 800 tons of M-rock, and a little bit less on the VTC side. But that is what stabilizes the channel bottom. When the weather rolls in and after it clears out and the site is just a mud hole, to keep the crew motivated, keep the crew going, I find stuff, busy work, small items that aren't maybe a mainline production item, but a fallback item. Something like a fence, or redoing some BMPs, straw wattles, silt fence, catching up on just the busy work side of it. So that way when the weather does clear up and the site conditions are perfect, we don't have to wait, we don't have to slow down, we're ready to go and get back after it. The motivation to come out here on those days is sometimes tough. Staying positive is a big thing on the leadership side of it for the guys. Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best site conditions, but you know, work is work, and we've got to get it done. And rather do it now when we're not slammed, rather than when we're slammed and having to stay late or get here early and work Saturdays and get it done then. Taking advantage of the time of not high production days, but slower days and catching up and getting things done is the motivating factor behind it, you know, keeping consistent.